Hi students, good evening. Welcome to VerandaRace. So I'm late by 3 minutes. I'm again sorry for that because of some internet connectivity issues. But now that I have come to the session. So let us start. Okay. Welcome to VerandaRace. So three people are live with me. Hi Sandil, how are you? So I'm waiting for some more people to join. Good evening, Shriveni. Kirtana, good evening. So today's session is a very special one. I'll tell you why when you come to know the reason why I'm saying so. Yeah, Sandil, good evening. That's all right, sir. Okay. So I would say why it's so special because I have added something very strange in this session. Because today's editorial was a very average one. I won't give any personal comments, but both the editorial portions were very average ones, which we generally discuss. Good evening, Logeshwari, Manisha, Pavitra, Murugan, Sendil Kumar. Oh yes, I'm fine here. Yeah, thank you, Sendil. So what I have done is, I have added something called a love letter. Love letter which adjective writes to noun. Would like to read this? A love letter that an adjective writes to noun. So let us read this love letter. So love letter from adjective to noun. So would you like to read this? So the letter is, adjective writes, I really love the way you are divided into various types. Adjective writes to noun. I really love the way you are divided into various types. Your character is abstract, but your material aspect gives a glimpse of your collective approach. So these are types of nouns, right? Abstract, material, collective. Okay. I love your common sense but hate your proper identity. So these are types of nouns. You understand this? So this is what I have added today. It's a very big letter, so I will not explain all these things to you. You please try to understand on yourself. Okay, that you are involved in the 5 cases, the cases of noun, really hurts me a lot. The nominative appeal of your personality makes me objective to your lovely atrocities. However, your possessive nature reminds me of my mother sometimes. I know you are quite vocative in getting your task accomplished, but I am equally dative in this scenario. So this is all the cases of nouns. So adjective writes a letter to the noun, a love letter to noun. This is what I have added. So we can proceed further because there's nothing to explain in all these things because it's all technical grammar. Just for your entertainment, because we are not focusing this evening session on competitive examinations. We are trying to improve your English. That you understand. Okay, Shankar Narayan, good evening. So please read this again. I really love the way you are divided into various types. Your character is abstract, but your material aspect gives a glimpse of your collective approach. I love your common sense, but hate your proper identity. That you are involved in the 5 cases, the 5 cases of noun, really hurts me a lot. The nominative appeal of your personality makes me objective to your lovely atrocities. However, your possessive nature reminds me of my mother sometimes. I know you are quite vocative in getting your task accomplished, but I am equally dative in this scenario. Okay. Glimpse. Glimpse means a view kind of. Fine. Good evening, future banker. So moving ahead to the next part of the letter. Your sister, the pronoun, is no less attractive. Her reflexive actions make me feel I am the most special in the world, but sometimes you and she become too interrogative to be handled. I find that my success in establishing good terms with you is quite relative. So you're understanding what I mean to say, what I'm trying to write, right? You're understanding that. I'm trying to be demonstrative in dealing with her, but she gives indefinite answers to my imperatives. You understand? All these are types of pronouns. Okay, these are types of pronouns. Last time I expected a good answer from her, but my surmise means guesswork, proved to be wrong when she gave a reciprocal answer. So you see, whatever I have underlined are types of pronouns. So adjective writes a love letter to the noun, and here he talks about the types of nouns and talks about the types of pronouns. Okay. I hope you are enjoying this. Moving ahead. Your car, verb. So it's the noun's car, verb, because noun goes into action through verb, right? That's why I've said your car. Your car verb is really very attractive. Last time I saw you riding that, you seem to be totally non-finite in your attitude. Non-finite. However, I believe that its agreement, that is subject-verb agreement, with you, noun and verb agreement, is quite good in my descriptions. Your car's engine, gerund, is very strong and as good as you are. I'm saying so because it is very dynamic and has multitudinous functions. The adverb color of your car, because adverb qualifies the verb, right? Adverb color of your car really defines its beauty in the best way possible. To drive, verb is good. To enjoy its participial continuity is better. I'm really infinitive in my comparisons. So this is what I've written. Adjective Wasser. Oh yes, adjective has written. Yeah. Adjective has written a letter to noun, basically. Okay, moving ahead. The article I wrote on you was quite metaphorical. Metaphorical means like metaphor is a word like you are a lion. That's a metaphor. That's again a part of English. The article I wrote on you was quite metaphorical. It described you as the head of the body called speech. So noun is the head of the body called speech. You understand that? A, an and the. Your qualifiers, nouns qualifiers, were adequately expressed in the article. I really cried at the omission of it from the lovely poem I wrote about you. I feel prepositioned. So it has come from the word preposition. When I stand before you means before noun, to tell you the relation between you and the world around you. So now preposition tells the relation of noun with the rest part of the sentence. So that's according to the definition. Okay. Sometimes I am in, sometimes I am out, on, off, with, by, from, over and what not. I think my story has no epilogue. So epilogue means the end of the story. It's also part of English, end of the story, something kind of. Even the preface is dicey. Preface and epilogue are opposites. Understand that? So it's a letter that adjective writes to noun. It's a grammatical love letter. Understand this? So I have been trying to conjunction my life with you since our last meeting. Conjunction means adding. You understand that? But I think I have failed to set the dialogue right. I am present tensed. I was past tense, but now the future tense is blank for me. So I am present tense, means tense in the present. I was past tensed, but now future tense is blank for me. Now I'll move ahead and explain you further the last part of the letter. I'm sure my narration, that is the direct and indirect speech. I'm sure my narration has little impact on you, but my voice is active and passive voice, and your heart is passive. You say I have a lot of common errors in my sentences. I'm really dejected, for you will never feel the indicative mood of mine. So there's a part in grammar called indicative mood. You're always busy in your own subjunctive mood. There are three moods in grammar: indicative mood, subjunctive mood and imperative mood. Please do the synthesis of my subordinate clause with your main clause. That's what I've written. Please do the synthesis of my subordinate clause. So I'm your subordinate. I'm lower than you are. That's what adjective says. With your main clause. So why dicey means puzzling. So this something is dicey, like it can be right or wrong, correct or incorrect. That's dicey. Okay. Finally, I request you to call upon your relatives, that is clauses, to my birthday party. I request no interjections to be used in this decent party. I feel I have been quite successful in describing my grammatical views about you. Yours lovingly, adjective. So adjective writes to noun. So basically Why adjective writes to noun? That also has a purpose. Well, if you go to the letter, it has deeper meanings which you are not able to understand, because I cannot explain right now because the class will elongate like anything. But adjective writes a letter because adjective describes noun. So adjective is the word that describes noun, so it can write a love letter to noun. That was my purpose. So I hope you enjoyed this letter a lot. Let me know please. Then I'll start the Hindu editorial. So we have Kim Jong-un and in the class itself. Interesting letter, sir. Thank you, Sendil. Thanks a lot. It's very hot here. So now we will go to the more poetic, sir. Okay, great, Sendil. So it was totally a grammar-based letter, technical letter. So I think you have understood what I'm trying to explain. So let me move ahead with this session, and we have foreign quarter as our because see, the purpose is not only competitive exam. The purpose over in the 7 p.m. classes is to improve your English. So I just gave a glimpse of my writing skills. So it's good that you understand that writing can have so much manifestations like. Okay. So the editorial starts with foreign quarter. This is the editorial for today. I'll explain this editorial to you in a very good way. So I've highlighted the words which need to be explained. So close on the heels of the government's sharp summons to the South Korean ambassador over social media posts by private companies, the MEA summoned the Singapore High Commissioner following a speech earlier this week by Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong. So I'll explain this to you. Wait. I'm sorry. So what is the meaning of close on the heels of? Means going very near. Very near. Close on the heels means very near. Yeah. Correct. Shankar Narayanan. So very near to the government's sharp summons. Sharp summons means to call upon. Calling upon the South Korean ambassador. So very near to the government's sharp summons to the South Korean ambassador over social media posts by private companies. So you know about the incident. Many private companies posted against India on the social media. The Ministry of External Affairs summoned means called upon, the Singapore High Commissioner following a speech earlier this week by the Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, where he had said there has been a decline in political probity. Probity means honesty. Probity means honesty. So what has Lee Hsien Loong has said that there has been a decline in political honesty in India after Prime Minister Minister Nehru's tenure. So basically what has happened, the Ministry of External Affairs has summoned the Singapore High Commissioner in the embassy. I'm talking about the Singapore embassy in India. So he has called upon the High Commissioner following a speech by the Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, who said that there has been a decline in political honesty in India after Prime Minister Nehru's tenure. Okay, so he warned that Singapore must stem any political corruption if it is to not go down that road. So who is he? He is about the Lee Hsien Loong. He warned that Singapore must stem. I think here who is the he over here? Because you see, probity means honesty. Yes, you have asked a question, Manoj Bani. Probity means honesty. So, where he had said there had been a decline in political probity in India after Prime Minister Nehru's tenure, he warned that Singapore must stem. Stem means to reduce or to nip in the bud, to cut, to control any political corruption if it is to not go down that road. To go down that road means doing certain thing in a specific way. The speech was unexpected broadside. Broadside means verbal attack. Broadside means verbal attack. Verbal attack. Despite was unexpected verbal attack. Despite the high praise for Nehru, obviously the author appreciates the high praise for Nehru. The government failed, and one which merited raising the issue of the uncalled for remarks with the Singaporean diplomat. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that the speech that was given by Lee Hsien Loong was an unexpected verbal attack, in spite of the fact that the high praise of Nehru was there. But the government felt and government found it necessary to raise the issue of the uncalled for. Uncalled for remarks means which were not expected, which are not required remarks with the Singaporean diplomat. Meaning of probity is, Manoj, honesty. Broadside means verbal attack. Merited means which merited raising the issue of. Merited means which was fit for raising the issue of. Uncalled for means which is not required. Okay, so the entire passage means that just like the government sharp calling upon the South Korean ambassador over social media post by private companies of those countries, the Ministry of External Affairs has summoned, just like government's sharp summons to South Korean ambassador, the government Ministry of External Affairs has also summoned the Singapore High Commissioner when the Prime Minister of Singapore gave a speech in which he said there has been a decline in political probity, political honesty in India after Prime Minister Nehru's tenure. So he has warned that Singapore must stem means cut down any political corruption if it is to not go down that road. Go down that road means the same way India has gone, the specific way India has gone. The speech was an unexpected verbal attack in spite of the fact that there was a high praise for Nehru. The government felt, and one which is merited means fit for raising the issue of, for the unrequired remarks with the Singaporean diplomat. Okay, so probity means honesty. Okay, next, moving ahead, next part. So as the South Korean case suggested, South Bloc appears to be making a pattern of its zero tolerance. Zero tolerance means no tolerance, means total. If I follow the zero tolerance program, I will not forgive you. I will not forgive you. So I mean zero tolerance. I mean zero tolerance. So the South Korean case suggested South Bloc appears to be making a pattern of its zero tolerance stand towards any criticism of India. So the South Bloc has decided that it will not stand. It will not withstand any criticism of India. It will follow a zero tolerance program for any criticism of India, means it will not tolerate. To begin with, the PM Lee's comments, where he said that about half of all Indian Lok Sabha MPs face criminal charges, are not baseless. So PM Lee said that about 50% of Indian Lok Sabha MPs face criminal charges, and it is not baseless, what the author says. Mr. Lee even added the caveat that many of these cases could be motivated by political rivalry. So what is caveat? Caveat means, anyone like to try what is meaning of caveat? Mr. Lee even added the caveat. Caveat means a proposition kind of thing, a premise. So I would say, like, if I add the caveat, it is the fact kind of thing, which is again a proposition, a premise. So I would like a better answer to the word caveat. Can anyone give me an answer? Okay. So Mr. Lee even added the caveat that many of these cases could be motivated by political rivalry, which indicates some understanding of Indian politics. So here the author says that Mr. Lee made a comment that 50% of Indian Lok Sabha MPs face criminal charges, and he also added the proposition that many of these cases could be motivated only by political rivalry. And this indicates there is some understanding of Indian politics. Second, He spoke of the similar downslide in Israeli politics. Downslide means downfall, downtrend. So Mr. Lee said that there was a similar downtrend in Israeli politics and the British Partygate scandal. Partygate scandal, you must be aware, we discussed 4 or 5 days ago, where everyone assembled in a party in spite of the regulations of the government that coronavirus is spreading. But there was a Partygate scandal. As of date, Israel and the UK have not raised objections. Okay. Finally, the speech was set in a grander context as he invoked. So Mr. Lee gave a speech which was set in the bigger context, and he invoked means caused to happen. The confusion, invoked means gave example of. So if I invoke something, I give the example of the Confucian guidelines. So what is Confucian? So there was a Chinese philosopher called Confucius. Confucius said that do not do something to others what you expect that they would not do to you. So it's a biblical commandment as well. Do unto others what you, I don't remember exactly. Do unto others what you would expect them to do unto you. That's a biblical. So Confucius gave a general statement that don't do anything to others what you would not expect them to do to you, unto you, basically. So as he invoked the Confucius guidelines for social behavior that unite a country, rituals, righteousness, probity and shame. So this is what he believed the guidelines for a unity of a country is required. So rituals means the practices. Righteousness means honesty again. Probity is honesty, but righteousness is like honesty in terms of professionalism. And shame means diffidence, means which we call as shame. Here would mean that we should be shy enough not to commit grave errors. That's called shame. Okay. Triggered. Okay. So Kavit is triggered. Okay. Probity triggered. Shankarana said triggered. Okay. Fine. So I'll explain the entire passage to you in short. So similar to the South Korean case, South Bloc is making a pattern of zero tolerance. Zero tolerance means no tolerance against any criticism of India. And with this, PM Lee's comments when he said that almost 50% of Lok Sabha MPs have criminal charges is not baseless. And Mr. Lee even added the fact that many of these cases could be motivated by political rivalry, which indicates that there is some understanding of Indian politics. Second, he spoke about a similar downtrend in Israeli politics and the British Partygate scandal. As of date, Israel and UK have not raised objections. Finally, the speech was set in the bigger context as he gave examples of the Confucius guidelines. Confucius said that do not do something which you won't expect from others to do to you. Okay. For social behavior that unite a country, rituals, righteousness, probity and shame. This is Confucius culture. Okay. Well, moving ahead to the next part. This is the second last part. His 5,000 word speech on the subject contained just one Indian example where he had even praised the founding fathers for the independence movement and then decried a slide in values since then. So it's a very easy line, actually, very easy. So Mr. Lee gave a 5,000 word speech and in which he said that he praised the founding fathers of the independence movement and then complained that there was, decried means what? Complaining. Decried is complaining, means criticizing kind of thing. A slide in values since then. The comment, while harsh, does not merit a strong-headed response. So what the government has given response to the comment is a very strong-headed response. Strong-headed means very adamant kind of response, very strong response, very obstinate response. It is possible to argue that Mr. Lee's examples were arbitrary. Arbitrary means random and contain unusual criticism for a country that has otherwise friendly ties with Singapore. So India has a friendly ties with Singapore, yet the comment was very response was very strong-headed, and his comments might be very random. So given that the issue at hand was a breach of privilege matter in the Singaporean parliament, So the issue was like, there's something called privilege matter. What's privilege matter? I would like to discuss with you. So privilege matter is like something which is given to certain rights given to particular people. So the issue at hand was the breach of privilege matter in the Singapore Parliament. So there was a breach, you understand, right? Giving, backstabbing someone kind of thing, breaching. Breach of contract means you're trying to break the contract. So breach of privilege matter in the Singapore Parliament, where an opposition members had been found guilty of lying in the House. So lying in the House is a breach of privilege matter in the Singapore Parliament. The India mention was certainly not required. So when he mentioned the thing about whatever wrong was happening by the private companies, the India mention was not required in the Singapore Parliament. It is even possible to argue that Singapore's very controlled version of democracy cannot be compared to India's more vibrant democratic traditions. So the author says it's very easy, very much probable to argue that Singapore's very controlled version of democracy. So Singapore has a controlled version of democracy, and it cannot be compared to India's more vibrant democratic tradition. Vibrant means India is more democratic in terms of independence. India has independent kind of democracy where people have right to speak, right to freedom of speech, right to assemble at places. But Singapore has a controlled democracy, controlled. Okay, so moving ahead to the last part of the passage. However, the strong reaction New Delhi displayed evinces. Evinces means indicates. Indicates. However, the strong reaction New Delhi responded. New Delhi means the government of India responded very harshly or very strong-headed response. It indicates the insecurity about just these traditions. The fact that it comes on the back of a series of other summons, demarches and statements reacting to the demarches and the statements reacting to other state government for speaking about India's internal matters, adds to this impression, especially given that Modi government frequently comments on the internal issues of its own neighbors. I'll explain this, don't worry, I'll explain this. However, the strong reaction that New Delhi has displayed indicates that there is certain insecurity about these traditions. What are the, just a minute. Yeah, so this strong reaction which the government has given against the comment by Mr. Lee shows the insecurity about these traditions. The fact that it comes on the back of a series of other summons, demarches and statements. Demarches means a political initiative. A political initiative. A political initiative. So the fact that it comes, this reaction comes on the back of means after a series of other summons, means riding the series of summons, demarches and statements, reacting to other governments for speaking about India's internal matters. So many other governments have spoken against India's internal matters. So this reaction comes after that. And this adds to this impression, especially given that the Modi government frequently comments on the internal issues of its own neighbors. So Modi government always speaks against the internal issues of its neighbors. So this is not a strange thing that the other countries will also speak about the internal matters of India. That's what the author says. So, while this event is unlikely to cause more than a ripple. Ripple means what? If you throw stone in water, ripples are created. You have seen that, right? Okay. So that ripple across the broader historical deep bilateral relationship. While this event is unlikely to cause more than a ripple, so this reaction to the comments by the Singaporean Prime Minister is unlikely to cause. Unlikely means it will not cause more than a ripple across the broader historically deep bilateral relationship with Singapore. So in Singapore, India has broader historically deep bilateral relationship. But the government must avoid an international reputation that lends itself to the Shakespearean line that it doeth protest too much. So in Macbeth, there's a saying that the Macbeth's mother said that this lady reacts too much or reacts more than it is required. Lady Macbeth. So that's known as doeth protest too much, means you protest more than what is required. So this reaction is very overrated, very much. Not ripple means spread. Yeah, exactly, Shankar Narayanan. Just a moment. Yeah. So this entire passage means what we have understood is that Prime Minister of Singapore made some comments on India, and after this event of some companies posting on social media, so he gave a reaction that 50% of the diplomats in the assembly are already corrupt. So New Delhi showed a very strong reaction. So the author says finally that in this, India is also an expert by commenting against the internal matters of other countries around it. So it's not a very strange thing that others country will do so, but this is unlikely to cause very much or too it will not have too far-reaching ramifications, because India has a very broader and historically strong relationship with Singapore, but the government must avoid an international reputation that lends itself to the Shakespearean line that it should not react more than it is required. Okay. So dicey means very. So if I say my success is dicey, means it can be questioned. It can be questioned. There may be doubts on that. Okay. So I think we have ended the passage today. It was very easy passage, nothing too much. So you all are very afraid of the Hindu. I don't know why. The Hindu is not very over, but some editorials are the main page editorials are difficult. But otherwise, if you try to decipher the meaning of it, it is quite easy. Just it's required to have a very good vocabulary, I guess. So if you improve upon your vocabulary, it will be easy to understand. Okay. So any questions from you, if you have, let me know. So we had planned a game, right? We had planned a game. So I would tell the name of the student, and the student will ask a word from me. I cannot give everyone an opportunity, like ask a word from me. I'll give Shivani an opportunity first, or Sendil Kumar. Yeah, Sendil Kumar was the first person. Sendil, you ask a word from me. I'll just try to guess the meaning. If you are online. Sendil, then Shivani, then Shankar Narayanan. You can ask each of you can ask a word from me. Any word under the sun. I'll try to find the meaning. If I fail, don't laugh at me. Okay. I think the students are not interested. So we have ended the session now. We'll end the session now. So students, with this, I like to end the session. I hope you enjoyed the session a lot. I'll come with some more challenging and different kind of processes so that we can improve our English in general. Thank you.